Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming in here. I hope you're all having a good day. Yeah?
Yes.
Excellent. I'd like to ask you, who here, you want to do something, you want to move forward in your life, there's a project or something that you do, but no matter what you do, something gets in the way. Who has that experience? Me too. Sometimes, have you noticed that there's something you want to change and you make the changes and you move on and you go, yay, I sorted that, and then something happens and you're right back here and you're thinking, oh my God, I thought I'd sorted that. Did I not learn? Did I not move forward from this? And you're back in the same situation? Anybody experience that? Cool. So you're in the right room. What I'd like to talk to you for the next... Yeah, sure. What I'd like to talk about... Oh, that's better with the door shut, isn't it?
Yeah.
What I'd like to talk to you about for the next 20 minutes or so is... Come on in, ladies, that's fine. Is how and what we can do when we get into those situations where we're wanting to learn and grow, we're wanting to move forward in our life, and we're all here at the Tree of Life Festival, so we're wanting or curious about growing spiritually, are we not? Yeah? And we're looking at a different way of doing things because we're taught, we go through school and we're taught that we need to use our mind, our logical mind, to work things out. Is that your experience? Yeah, definitely mine. So the logical mind wants to work these situations out. And what we find as we move along, especially when we're wanting to move and change spiritually, is that this mind cannot compute what you're talking about. Does that make sense? And sometimes when you want to do something and make changes that are not logical, have you had people give you the look? You know what I mean? It's like, are you serious? That's not logical. What I've learned over the last few years, especially when I've moved out of the logical phase into the let me follow my soul phase, is that I get a lot of those looks. And because we can't use our logical mind, what do we do instead? Because we're not taught, are we? If you don't use your logical mind, what else do you do?
Instinct.
Sorry?
Instinct.
Spot on. It's your instinct, it's your inner knowing, it's your gut, it's your heart, it's what you pick up from whatever you pick up from up there. It's all the same thing. It's not the logical brain, but it's this wider part of us, the part of who we are, that we can connect into to start to make the changes so that we can live the life we want. We are taught a certain way that you get to a certain age, and then what education you do, or an apprenticeship or a job, and then who you meet, and you get engaged, and then you get married and have kids, not necessarily in that order, but whatever order floats your boat. And then we start to move forward with life, but then there's a point where it's like, this is not enough. This is not enough. What do I do now? And what I found is that when you hit that point, there's no guidelines. You can come to places like this and there's lots of different ways and opinions and things that you can try, but the answer is here. That's what all these different modalities tell you, is to go within. So one thing that can really, really help when you're wanting to make these changes is to meditate. Who gets fed up with being told, meditate, meditate, meditate? Yeah?
I love it.
I love it. I've meditated for 20 odd years, But there are people who it's like, oh, I don't know how to meditate, I don't know what to do. And again, it's the process of going within. It's that process of going in within and listening to the inner self. And when you ask the question, you will find the right way for you, because there's different ways of doing everything, but you will be drawn to the right way for you. When you start to go inside, then you will start to get the answers that you need. And sometimes you'll get these instincts, these intuitions, and then it's like, oh my God, that's not logical. Oh my God, I don't know what to do about this. And then we put them away again because they're not comfortable. Okay? So what we really need to do, or what, I'll tell you what I did and what works for me, and I'll share if it works for you, is the first thing is to just dare to dream, dare to even think about it and write it down on a piece of paper to say, this is what I want. This is what I want, and this is how I want it to be. And describe it and flesh it out. Okay, I like writing, so I write. Some people are more visual. Find a way that works for you to say, this is how I want it to be. Because then at least it's out there, isn't it? It's out there in the physical as an energy. You don't have to do anything about it right now, but it's there and you know. And the point of putting it out there as a physical energy, whether written or a vision board or something, is that it's a nudge. Because you've brought it out there now. And what you can do then is start to see opportunities for change. I don't know about you, but if I have a dream about how I want things to be, the dream's over here and I'm over here. And it's like, how do I get from here to there? Because it is so massive. Anybody have that experience? It's like, how do I make that transition? And so that's why we don't do it. A boss of mine used to say to me, Mags, don't eat the whole elephant. Okay? So when you have this dream of what you want to do, how you want your life to be for you, not anybody else, but for you, because it's who you are as a soul and what you want to do, not anybody else's idea. What happens then is, it's like, okay, this is what I want to do, but I don't have to do it all by tomorrow. I don't have to do it all by next week or even next year. It's like, okay, what can I do to bring some of those energies into my life now? Okay, for me, I have a dream of being a speaker to inspire people to live the life they want. Now, I've got a good number of people in a room doing that right now. My dream is for like thousands. This is big enough for the minute. It's like, eek, you know? But my dream is for thousands, but I'm starting here. But I didn't start here. I started talking to a room of 3 or 4. And then it got to 10 and I got really excited. And then this is amazing. This is how you can start to move towards your dream. It's like, what's the next step that I can take? What's the next step I can take? What's the next step that I can take? And you'll find, it may take you time, but it may not. Once you start to move towards what it is you want, that energy gains momentum. Have you ever thought, oh, I'd like to do something, and you started to explore it or get onto Google, and then somebody said something to you, oh, so-and-so's happening, do you want to come? And you're thinking, oh my God, I was just looking that up. Or I'm interested in that, yeah? And that's because you put the energy out there, and then the universe, the energies, whatever you want to call it, conspires to start to bring those things towards you. So it starts with us. It starts with us daring to dream, to know what it is we want, and write it down. I know for myself, for a long time, I'd never write it down. Because some of us don't even ask, do we? But if we don't ask, if we're not part of that creative process, then nothing can happen. So we have to be part of that creative process. One thing that I do get, which makes me laugh now, it didn't so much in the early days, people will say to me, but Mags, be realistic. How many of you guys have had a dream and they go, be realistic? Okay? Will Smith said, being realistic is the most trodden road to mediocrity. Do we want a mediocre life? I don't. What about you? Okay? But also, being realistic is going back to that logical mind. It's saying, how far can I go? There's how many of you in this room? About 25, 30, something like that. It's like, well, going from 30 in a room to thousands, be realistic. And it's like, no, I'll see you there. I really will. But again, we can make these changes. And being realistic just keeps us limited, because when we write our dream down in a realistic way, it's not who we are. It's what other people think is possible. Is it not? But we, as souls, we can achieve as much as we want to achieve. And even if we have this big goal, what if we only get halfway before we shuffle off? It's better than going nowhere, or it's better than being realistic and staying here. The key then to living the life you want is to know what you want and to dare to write it down and dare to dream. The next thing, as soon as you start to write that down, what happens? I can't but. Yeah, but. If I did that, that upsets all that. What if they don't like it? What are people going to say? I'm aware that when I talk to people and some of the things I say can be considered a little bit controversial. But it's like, I've still got to say it. I don't mean to upset people, but saying that actually, yes, you can create the life you want. Yes, you can make these changes. No, you don't have to do everything for everybody else and not look after yourself. It's not selfish to take some me time. It's not selfish to look at what you want, as long as you allow others to look at what they want and act on what they want to do. Does that make sense? So what happens then when we say what we want, all the objections come in, all the issues, all the reasons why so far we haven't done it. Because if we didn't have those things, we would have done it, right? We would be there and probably setting another goal going, okay, and setting off again. When we start to look at what gets in the way, that is where we grow. That is where we begin to let go of all the limitations of who we are, all the limitations that we put around our soul, our growth, and what we want to be. And there's no... The fact that I want to speak to thousands is just something I want to do. If somebody's goal and dream is to have a happy, loving family, they're equal. One is not better than the other. What is the point is that you're here as a soul to live as you came to live, to experience what you came to experience. It's not about achievement, who's bigger, better, more money, bigger car, none of that. It's about, as a soul, I came down to experience these things and I'm coming to experience them. That's what we've come to do. But equally, we come down with issues, fears, things that have come from past lives maybe, and they're coming up again in this life, and they're so part of us, they're so subconscious that we don't know we're doing them. And this is where sometimes we can find ourselves in situations that are really, really sticky, as I call it. It's like, why can't I shift this? I'm doing all my mindset stuff. I'm doing all the meditation stuff. I'm doing all the things that I need to do. I'm doing all my reading and I'm doing all my spiritual stuff. What is wrong with me? Why can't I do it? Why isn't it working? I mean, how many of you guys follow or do things around law of attraction. Yeah? Law of attraction works, it always works. But other times when you think law of attraction doesn't work, it can't work because I'm doing everything and it's not happening. Again, law of attraction always works. That means there's something more deeply within us. And in my experience, what I found is that can come from past lives. Because when we're being conscious, and I know I've spoken to some of you guys as you've been walking around and you've come to speak with me, you are conscious, you are aware, you are doing the work. But we're butting up against these things. And I found the same thing for me. And it was at Christmas time, I wagged my finger at them upstairs. Have you ever done that? Do you shout at them sometimes? Or have a good cry? I wagged my finger to them upstairs and I said, look guys, I want to manifest the life I want. I want to know how to do this. And then I want to teach others. And then within 2 days, no word of a lie, I found something called soul realignment. And it was that next step, that part that showed me the deeper part of where we get stuck. With the work I'd been doing and the work I've been doing with my clients was we were working with the mindset, we were working with law of attraction, and it was brilliant. People were getting results because it was what they wanted. They were putting the work in. I was just the mouthpiece, you know. They did the work and well done them. But then we were coming up against things that just wouldn't change. And I was getting frustrated and they were getting frustrated. And I got the same things in my own life. When I found this, it's like, oh my gosh. First of all, I was getting to know who I was as a soul. Who wants to know who they are as a soul at the deepest level to take the guesswork out of what it is you want to do and where you want to go. Now, this is not about telling you you should do this or you should do that. What it's saying is when you align to the vibration, when you express things in whatever way you do it, you are in alignment, you will find it easy. And most of us, when we do stuff we love and we find it easy, do we have a tendency to dismiss it because it's easy? Oh, it's easy, it's common sense, everybody does it, but no, everybody doesn't. If you find something joyful and easy, it's your thing. And we tend to have this thought that to be on purpose and what have you, it has to be hard work. That's what I hear people tell me. And also it's what I had in my head as well, to be fair. But actually, it doesn't. So when we're in alignment with who we are as a soul, and when we know that in more detail, it's like, wow, we can actually take action to move to be more in alignment. And equally, when we can see what's getting in the way, what past life issues are showing up in this life, and we can see where we got that behaviour and where it shows in our life now, it's like, what action can I take to change that? And it is about action. So we take action to make those changes, to change those things that are getting in the way of us being in alignment. And when you do that, my experience is it fast tracks. And you suddenly, it's like, oh my God, those sticky things become unsticky. Sometimes it's absolutely instant, which is brilliant. Sometimes it takes time because we've had these habits, we've had these behaviours for a long time. And also, if they're core to what we've been doing, then we need to undo is not the right word. We have to change our habits and then also change how we've taught people to treat us or work with us or be around us, like our family or friends. A common one that I get, especially with the ladies but also with the men, is overgiving. How much do we overgive? Yeah, whether it's our friends, our family, especially our children, we overgive, we neglect our own life, our own soul, our own purpose. And yet, what a great example we could show to our children if we were in alignment and the soul that we were meant to be and said, hey, this is there for you too. And sometimes, if you think about some of the things that you've really achieved, those really tough times where you've had to dig in, really dig in, and you've come out the other side, how good do you feel? If we rescue people, if we stop people from going through those tough times, I don't mean abandoning them. You can be there with love and support and saying, yes, you can do this, of course. But if somebody had taken that experience away from you, how would you feel? And yet we can have a tendency to want to take that experience away from other people because we love them. We don't want them to struggle. We don't want them to suffer. But sometimes in that struggle and in that suffering, then that's where we grow. We don't always have to grow through struggle and suffering just to say. We can grow through having fun, through joyfully experiencing things, but the way we are as a race at the moment, most of it is through struggle, but we can change that. Is that making sense? Yeah? So when we start to look at what's getting in the way, we can start to take action. We can start to make changes. And then step by step, your life begins to change. And when you've done it a few times, it's like, oh, I know what to do about that now. Because it's empowering you to make those changes. When you find a different way of being, and that it's not the logical mind, it's going within and trusting yourself and knowing that every single one of us in this room really knows. We really do know. And when we're not practiced at it, it can be quite a scary thing to do, to start to trust yourself. But just trust it on the little things. Just try it on the tiny things that don't have big consequences. And then when you build your confidence, you can try it on slightly bigger things and slightly bigger things and slightly bigger things. And then, once we've cleared what's got in the way, we start to move towards where we want to be. And guess what? There'll be something else. But this time, we know that we can do it. This time we know that we can take the action, and even though it's scary, we know that we will grow. We'll know that we can gain that confidence to move forward, and then we'll start to move forward more quickly. But the importance is to know what you want first of all, to be clear on it, and it's for you. Not for your kids, not for your partner, husband, whatever, not for anybody else, but for you. And then start to be honest with yourself and deal with what comes up. You can do it by yourself, or you can get other people to help you, whether you have therapies or counselling or whatever you need. Because again, you'll intuit what you need. You'll find the right person. It'll be like, I gel with you. Let's do this. And you can start to move forward. And it's not a race. And it's not a BT obsession. Oh my God, am I so stupid for being like that? It's let's do the next step and the next step. And make sure that you celebrate your wins. When you've gone through something, when you've achieved something, yeah, let's celebrate. And also let's take time to feel this new way of being, to feel a bit more peace, a bit more tranquility, a bit more love, whatever, before you set off again. Because we don't have to make this a hard toil towards where you want to be. Let's do it. Let's enjoy it. Yes, there's the challenge, but you can enjoy the challenge when you get through the other side. But if you just make it a slog, then you're going to lose momentum and maybe not even want to get there. But do the best you can. That's all that we can ask of anybody, is it not? So, to live the life you want, be clear on what you want. When things come up and get in the way, let's go inside and see what it is we need to do. Ask for help. Intuit what you need and move forward. Know that there'll be something else and something else, but when you know what you want, just bring the next thing forward, the next thing forward. So I'm speaking to a room of 25, 30 people right now. That's amazing for me. And if this is where it gets to, then I'm really happy, because it's my passion to try and inspire people to maybe look at things a different way. And I'm happy to have got this far if that's it. I don't mind. But I'll keep going and keep going and going over the scary bits and what have you, and we'll see where it takes us. I used to have the striving viewpoint, you know, do this, and I've learned it doesn't have to be that way. And so I wish somebody had told me like 15, 20 years ago, when I was like whipping myself and beating myself up, but that was my process to learn not to do that. So I thought I'd share that with you today, so that hopefully you'll be inspired to go in and really know what you want, and know that you can do it, and that you can make those changes that you want. Thank you.
Thank you.